I would try to use the next quarter of an hour for trying to demystify something that is very common in the financial services industry, which is many people say that banks are much more advanced in terms of technology, in terms of using customer experience, data management, etc., compared to the insurance companies. And Jan, actually, maybe let's kick off right here. Do you agree that insurers are many, many years behind banks, for example?
Not really. I think if it comes to the perception, yes, I think this is what you see. I would describe it maybe by using an iceberg, which normally you see, I think, 1/9 of the iceberg above the water and the rest under the water. I think in the banks, they have two advantages that we don't have. That's why I think the iceberg is kind of like upside down. So you see lots of things, lots of innovation immediately. And insurance, it's the other way around. Why is that? Because we have, I think, two issues as insurance, which with the technology and the new business models we might to overcome. One is I call it like a last mile black box. So we have lots of processes, trainings, products, and so on. When it comes to the touch point to the customer, we don't know much about it because it's kind of like a second-hand relationship. You have an agent, you have a bank, or somebody else talking to our customer. That means we cannot get the data, we cannot have a real-time relationship. So this is one issue. The other one is the return on interactions is very low in our case because we don't have interactions. We have maybe one per year, and again, it's a second-hand interaction. So if you would put the number of interactions per year and maybe the time spent a day with the insurance, we will be somewhere like over here, where you have a Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and a bank somewhere in the middle. So I think with the new technology...
Actually, this is a historical handicap because in Poland we have most of the sales, most of the policies are obligatory, mandatory car insurance policies, full stop. That's the truth. That's the way we live it.
Yeah, but this is not a meaningful interaction. Yes, I mean, paying taxes is not really like a joyful interaction. I mean, I'm talking about on a net level, probably we have even minus meaningful interactions because the interactions are like buying the policy, which I have to buy, and then if I have a claim, usually it's not something enjoyable. Yeah, and I think that what we're trying to do as a Talanx group, and I know you have already started in these areas, we want to do two things. We want to increase the number of interactions and meaningful interactions by kind of hugging the client and offering services, not just, if I might use the example of an airline, where in the past they would say, you become my customer once you arrive at the airport, and you stop being customer once you leave the airport. When they kind of extended it, it's okay, I help you to plan the trip, I tell you about the weather and so on, I maybe send you a taxi, and afterwards also do different things. And I think this is our approach to build kind of ecosystems by combining meaningful services with partners, get more direct contact with the customer, and this way increase the interaction, increase the return on interactions, and collect more data, and make more business. Yeah.
Before I give you a couple of examples coming, from the Polish soil, do you see what you describe in practice around the world, or is it just a theoretical concept that we should build an ecosystem? Because it sounds sexy, but at the end of the day, is it practical? Are there any examples?
There are very good examples outside of insurance. I think insurance is just getting into this. To give you an example from outside of insurance, 3 weeks ago I was in Warsaw with my neighbors because they've never been to Warsaw, and I booked a hotel with a booking.com. We arrived in Warsaw, and I got like a message about the attractions in Warsaw, which I kind of ignored. Then we went to this palace of culture and stuff, and there was like 100 people lining up to get up to see the platform. And I thought, like, I think there was something about this palace. So I went there, and there was indeed a digital ticket that I could bypass the line. And so there are lots of examples, and I think I know also that there's a research where the customers actually expect from insurance to be the guy who will provide the service around the house, around the car, around the life. Another example which we are working on is, imagine you are going on a holiday and you have a property insurance with us. Yeah. Typically, you think, okay, what do I do with my dog? Who will take care of my mother? Who will take care of my house? Maybe the agent could bring like a device that will take care of your house. You can provide a babysitter. You can take care of the dog. Maybe in this time you can repair the roof because you are not here, or maybe paint the house, whatever. There's many things that you can do. But we are at the very beginning, and the biggest obstacle is not what is technologically possible or what people would accept, but to change the organization to say, okay, I can go beyond my core business, even there's no risk, but there's a meaningful service that client would come and buy.
Getting back to the topic, where banks are and where insurance companies are. Recently, I saw quite an interesting survey done by McKinsey. It was a survey on digital maturity. And basically, the outcome of this survey showed that if you take all the aspects of digitalization or of an enterprise being driven through the technology, and there are several elements to it. It's, of course, having a strategy, having an organization that is behind you, having certain culture in the organization, having certain capabilities that support your aspiration to become a digital company. What surprised me a lot is that insurers are in front of the banks. Both of them are quite low in the compared to other industries, but still insurers are more advanced. Just to give a couple of examples why I think that insurers are not behind the banks. I think that we have to be very, very pragmatic in what we do, and we cannot, as we say in Polish, porywać się z motyką na słońce, without searching for the right idiomatic translation in English. We try to use technology in very specific areas that would allow us to be closer to the customer and to serve the customer better, because at the end of the day, we are here to satisfy our customers. Just to give you two examples. First is that in the last couple of years, we are quite obsessed with building telemarketing capacity. And what we decided to do is that we hired 2 independent call centers. The interesting thing that we did, and which is quite not very typical for our peers, is that we implemented this immediately with a data mining facility behind. So before we go out to sell our product, we segment the customers, we analyze, we try to find the right products for the right segments, and at the end of the day, if you look at the rates of the payment rates, the redemption, it's more than twice higher than the average in the insurance industry. So it makes sense to deliver this in a smart way. Moreover, what we're doing now is we made a step further, back to your last mile, and we said, okay, let's try to implement certain elements of behavioral economics in order to start speaking to the customers with the language and with the logic that is acceptable by this particular segment of the customers. So it's that's, according to me, is a wise use of technology and of data analytics. The second example that came to my mind is travel insurance, which is, you may say, it's a pure commodity, because basically everyone offers travel insurance. We as well. We are one of the market leaders in Poland. What we did differently, we said, okay, in many cases, the customer does not want or does not need to go to a local doctor if something happens. So why not giving this customer an opportunity to speak in the local language, in Polish, to a local doctor through a video facility? And basically it is implemented now, and what we see is that it is you may be surprised, but the interest in the eyes of our customers is huge. And there are many, many more examples like that. We will be running off time quite soon, so maybe why don't we change the subject? And I personally see quite a big danger that deals both with the banks and with the insurance companies. And the danger is the following. If we do not tackle in the right way all the fintechs, insurtechs, startups of the world, which are much more quick in terms of delivering and developing KYC, they are much more advanced in terms of technology. And if we, as finance and insurance, do not tackle this problem correctly, it is highly probable that sooner or later we will be put in a corner doing some really deep back office type of operations like clearance, like underwriting, and therefore we may be excluded from the rest of the value chain that generates margins. Do you see this? Do you agree?
I think it's possible, but it depends more on the way how we react to these changes or challenges, because it's kind of in our hands. Yeah, I like the picture of if I would compare like the startups and the small companies to kind of like a young guys, like kids, very brave, very fast, very innovative and creative, without any kind of legacies. And we are kind of like the parents who are like doing the business today and try to kind of meet the ends by the end of the day to pay the rent and blah, blah, blah. And then we have the grandparents who are maybe very, very wise. They have lots of wisdom, but nobody asks them because they're kind of shaking in the corner, yeah? And I think there's an extreme way to do it is, okay, you just disregard the parents and the grandparents, all the wisdom, all the data that we have, for example, is insurance, 100 years old, and you just go with the young guys. It might work or might not. The other extreme is you just disregard the kids and you just ignore them because okay, they're like, you know, teenagers, crazy. You just ignore it and you keep doing business as usual. I think these two extremes are very dangerous. For both, actually. And I think the solution is, and that's what we are trying to do at Talanx also, the kind of like a 3-generation house, yeah? So we have lots of wisdom. We have people who've been there for 20 years in claims or underwriting, whatsoever. Then we have the parents who are providing the cash for today, and then we have the crazy kids outside or inside. And I think the trick is to integrate it, because they cannot survive without us, and we cannot survive probably without them, to integrate it in a smart way, and to reinvent the insurance. I don't think that this model that we have will stay like it is. I think the products will be completely different. Today we have a product that's absolutely like artificial, yeah? And I think it will go either to kind of subscription where you don't care because the machines will talk to each other and the car will take the other machine that we are just passing the border and you are starting skiing because you are moving downwards. So the insurance will be bought on a kind of subscription base or in a combination with some micro paper use, paper slope, paper drive, paper turn, I don't know. Yeah?
But do you think we are ready as an insurance industry or as a finance and insurance industry to team up with crazy, young, rapid, volatile
I think
minds?
my experience is we are, if you open up with, I mean, we are investing in startups as Talanx. We are partnering with startups, but the main reason for them to say no or yes are the people. Because there's lots of money everywhere. There's lots of markets everywhere, but they say, I don't want this strange guy to, you know, interfere into my business and slowing me down, whatever. They want people who are cool, open to experiments, and it works. But you need this kind of mindset that is like, you know, like kind of combination of, you have to open up, basically. And this is a very big obstacle in some organizations, but it is possible. And if you imagine Kodak or Nokia or Barnes and Nobles the reason that they disappeared, more or less, is not that they didn't have an idea, but there was kind of like internal organization culture. There's this saying that culture is the strategy for breakfast. So I think what we focus on is very much, not so much technology, I can buy it anywhere, but the culture to absorb it, to adopt it, and to actually do business with it. And this is, I think, the trick.
I partially agree with you. And actually, what we do, and there are quite a few examples taken from our business, like the Screenity application that allows you to, thanks to cooperation with an external IT provider, we managed to introduce the first mobile app in the market that allows you to check your screen and within 2 minutes finalize the whole process, including buying. So within 2 minutes from the beginning of the process, you are done and your screen is insured. There are also quite a few other examples. We try to open different niches, cooperating with P2P platforms, cooperating with Ironman, with Armageddon, with Lidl Podróże. So we are looking for it, and basically it works. The question mark where I slightly seem to disagree with you is it is very difficult, and it will be very difficult, both for Poland and for other territories, to find the scale. Because very often, yes, those are fancy solutions that you can present at the stage, but at the end of the day, if you look at how to monetize that and whether this is meaningful for the P&L of a particular entity, of a particular insurance company, very often it is not meaningful. So yes, full support to cooperation with the startups, but I think there is still quite a lot of work to be done. We have 30 seconds, so I'm not sure if we managed to demystify, the fact that insurers are not in the 19th century.
I have a final statement, maybe after our working with Red Bull, which I know everybody knows probably, but I didn't know that they have 0 assets. They don't produce the drink, they don't sell the drink, but they have incredible margin. And I think our problem is that people have a need to buy insurance. They don't have a need to buy Red Bull. They want to buy Red Bull. And I think we have to somehow get from this need to want, that people say, I want you guys to be my partner, then we made it. I think as long as it's kind of like a need, paying taxes, whatever, nobody will probably be interested in us, and we will be disrupted.
So let's hope for the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.